I am so excited for today's guest. She is such a beacon on my Instagram feed, but most importantly, she has cosplayed as some of my favorite characters, including Archangel and April O'Neil, among many others. She's moderated panels for Cosplay Alliance and has been featured in Marvel's Becoming series for her cosplay work as the God Queen of the X-Men, Jean Grey. Please welcome Michelle Waffle-Otero.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm gushing so much just seeing you. And listeners, if you're listening to the podcast, she's dressed up as Spider-Gwen.
Okay, but I have a quick surprise for you. So, I didn't mean to dress like Spider-Gwen. I actually just threw this on because underneath.
What are you doing? What? Oh my God! Oh my God! She's wearing a Generation X outfit. Oh my God!
It's not done. It's not done.
It's not done. So if you're listening to this, she just did a costume change.
She had to do a magical girl transformation.
Henseal into the standard, it's not a red. Is it red and gold? It's like a pinkish gold Generation X costume, the standard costume.
Yeah.
Oh my
This
God.
one's red. It's more red in real life.
Is it more red? Well, I meant in the comic book. Is it red or pink in the comic? I'm always confused by that.
Oh, I think it's red.
I love that you
just drawing and inking, I feel.
You look so beautiful. Oh my God. I'm just like gushing so much. So she did an outfit change, a first ever empowerment, because we're going to be talking about Generation X 1 through 10 today. Oh my God. You're so fierce. How did you
have a belt too?
Wait, let me see the belt.
I don't know if you can see it.
So
I'm really short.
I just can't believe you're in that outfit. Did you make that yourself?
So I had help from my mom.
Yes.
I was like, Mom, I have this podcast that I'm going to do. And I know it's a podcast, so people listen to it. But I know you also record video.
Yes.
And I thought, well, that would be so fun if I could, check this off my cosplay bucket list and debut it.
You just gave us an exclusive. The
only other person that saw it before you was Alicia from the ex-wife.
You know how obsessed I am with the ex-wife. Like, I love them so much. And I know you and Alicia are planning something. I see the tags. I've seen the looks at book club. Can you just give a hint for Instagram, for X-Men Instagram, just a morsel of a hint, and knowing that Alicia was like, maybe later I'll tell you. So knowing that Alicia said that, you can say what you want to.
Well, I feel like it's a pretty good dynamic duo.
Okay.
We're working on together.
I'm so excited. I'm like Jesse Spano right now. I'm so excited. I love your friendship. I am like shipping your friendship. Like, yes. So we are going to be talking about Generation X, and I may have a surprise later on.
Oh,
I know. You're not the only one bringing some surprise. It's not a costume change. It's not a wardrobe change. This isn't RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't know if you got the right memo. You didn't get the right call sheet. You're like, where's Mama Ru? I'm like, no, it's just me. I have a pumpkin spice latte and like a yoga mat. Like, welcome. Like, welcome to my life. But I want to get to know you because we've been talking for a while, and I just think you have such great energy. And I want to know your story officially on this platform. And I wanted to kick it off by asking you, what's your earliest memory of Marvel's Merry Mutants?
I would say it was in like the 4th grade. That's when the trading cards were really popular.
Yes.
And my brothers were like begging my parents to get them. They're like, oh, we need the trading cards. Everybody at school has them. So one day, like my mom took me in there and into a comic book shop, our local comic book store. And she's like, well, pick some of these out for your brothers. Like they want these. And so I was going through and there were only so many like male superheroes in there. And I was getting to the female ones. These look like some badass babes in here. Like, who are these ladies? Like, what is their story? And the trading cards had little intros or like the Professor X files, or depending on whatever series you were collecting. And so I bought some for my brothers, and I would read the backs. Like my brothers make fun of me that I read everything and anything. So I was just getting to know these characters, and my brothers had also requested comic books. So I remember my parents had bought them for my brothers, and I don't know, they don't really like reading, so they just like looked at the pictures and that was it.
What?
Yeah. And so I started picking them up because I specifically remember the X-Men comic with Rogue and Gambit embracing. And I was like, this looks like an epic love story to me. I need to know what's happening here. What is this? And
I love that you just described Rogue and Gambit as an epic love story. The Romeo and Juliet of the 90s.
That's what it looked like. It looked very...
I agree, though. I agree.
To me, yeah. And I'm like, I gotta read this. I don't remember what the story was about, but I was hooked. And I think the animated series was coming out around the same time. Mm-hmm. And so like me and my brothers, we'd get up like extra early on Saturday mornings, and we'd do the animated series and Spider-Man like superhero block and like watch it together. Like the theme song would come on, and like one of my brothers was like bouncing off the couch. He had like the Wolverine claws. Like one of my brothers and one of my brothers was a Cyclops. Like they were very much like that in real life, I feel. And so like the Wolverine one was like bouncing off the couch, going like, yeah, the theme song was on. And we just got like so hyped, and we couldn't wait. Every Saturday we were on that couch, like wanting to find out what happened next on the show.
I have to tell you, our fandom experience, or at least our coming of age fandom experience, is almost exactly the same. I had the same thing. The Fleer Ultra cards, Fleer. I always say Fleer, Fleer.
I say Fleer too.
Because they were both. But
I feel like they were both.
And then there were like other ones as well. But like the Fleer 94s were ones that my primo was collecting. And I went to the comic book store with him because my abuela was like, no, we're not going to take you. I'm not taking you today. You guys go. And this is Miami in like the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Like it was not safe. But me and my cousin right there on Calle Ocho going to the small comic book store right before you hit the Everglades. And it was called Line Drive Beeper and Comics. And we opened up the pack, and he had, he was going through it. He was so excited, but he had an extra Rogue. And he was here like, oh, I already have this one, and he gave me the card. And much like you, it was like manna dropping onto like my hands. I was like, oh, who is this woman? And I flipped it around, and it was like, name unrevealed, powers, absorbs memories, flight, super strength. I'm like, who is she? And that's it. That's all you got. Kids today have it so easy because they have the Wikipedia.
Yes.
They got the wiki.
Reading cards. We had to like hope we got the characters that we needed to know about.
Yes.
I remember reading, who was it? It's so random. It's like Saturn 9. It wasn't the same one that's in the current, like, what is it? Swords of X.
10 of Swords.
That one. Yeah. It was some like imposter, and I'm like, who the heck is this? I've never heard of this chick.
Courtney Ross, Saturn 9. Like I'm just like, I give up.
Yeah. I couldn't understand that. And I didn't have Wikipedia to look it up and figure it out.
Exactly. We did not have Wikipedia. So that's why when I talk to some fans and I'm still confused about things, or if there's stories that like I went to the comic book store that were already midway through, like Executioner Song, like although once I went to Executioner Song, it was years after it published, but I only found like a couple issues of it. I only read those issues. I
Yeah.
still don't know what happened at the beginning. Obviously I read the Wikipedia pages. Binge read now, back then you could not binge read. And
Yes.
you didn't go on Amazon and get the whole thing. Like you had to pray that that comic book store had the issue you were looking for.
Yeah.
And you were sort of piecing together this much larger story and narrative.
That's what I had to do. I have like almost every Generation X issue. Uh, and it took me a long time to get them all because I had to go hunt. Like anytime I went to a new town, I'm like, where's the local comic book store? I had my paper list in my wallet at all times, just in case there was a comic book store. And I'm like, I just need these last few issues. I don't care what condition they're in. I need to know what happened.
But let me ask you, because you had the paper in your wallet, you were going to comic book stores, you were really passionate, especially about Generation X. What was it about the mutants that resonated with you?
I think it was because I was getting into comics like right when that book was coming out. And I known Jubilee from the animated series. And she had just left the X-Men team and was on this new team. And they were all younger. So since I was like in 4th or 5th grade, these kids were just a little bit older than me. And they were going through all of those like teenage issues. You go through puberty, but on top of that, they also were manifesting these mutant powers that were changing them more than just getting acne,
Yeah.
like, oh, man, I got all this extra skin, or I blew a hole in my chest. Like, I'm never going to be able to kiss a girl because I have no mouth.
Although, can we talk about how he went on a plane with that like hole on his chest?
Who let him through?
Like, I know this was pre 9/11, but my God.
Like nobody was like, you know what? I'm getting a lot of like energy readings off of this guy. Like there were some kind of scanners, right? Like
yeah, like
little wands, and they're all, sir, you're missing like your jaw and
and you're on fire. Like, can we call 911 for you?
You need a fire extinguisher.
Oh my God. Because you're really hot. God, I love Chamber though.
I know, he's so broody and like British, right? I think he was British.
Yeah.
He's like a rock star. And he was like emo before it was cool to be emo.
You're absolutely right. I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up the issues so I see those scenes again with him arriving at the fucking airport, and then M-Plate like crashes a party.
Like that M-Plate was so gnarly. He was like the perfect villain, I think, for
he terrified me.
He was very original, and I liked that they kind of alluded to him having some kind of relationship with M.
Oh, I know.
And Penance, but not like they didn't give it to you all at once. Like you figured it out, like you got little breadcrumbs, and then later on they're like, there's that big reveal.
And even like during the Phalanx Covenant, like it's hinted at that she's on the run. You know what I mean? Like I love Generation X, and that's why when we were discussing our Kiki, I mean, we both mutually were like Generation X.
Yes.
Which issues? The first 10 issues.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. So I know how you feel about the X-Men animated series. I think my question that I'm trying to formulate here in my head is, I know you're a much bigger stan than just the X-Men. And obviously you've cosplayed as April O'Neil, and like, I love April. You're also a big Sailor Moon fan. I'm curious, how did the X-Men influence your fandom? It sounds like it was a spark of your fandom.
Yes. Yeah, I think the X-Men definitely like kicked off my whole like geek awakening. I mean, I'd had exposure to like Rainbow Bright, Gem,
Oh my God, I love Gem and Rainbow Bright. Why am I obsessed with you right now? I wish we were together IRL. It would just be your GBF. I'd be like,
It
yeah.
would, you know what? We could have had our own little club, and like it would have been great. And I got all my friends into my fandoms, even just for a little bit. Like we used to play X-Men on the playground. Like everyone would pick a character, and if they didn't know who they wanted to be, I would just assign them one. Like you be this one, because yeah, like,
Who
we
are
need
you?
a squad. I think I started off as Rogue or Storm,
Yeah.
but once I like started watching the series more, I'm like, I'm a Jean Grey girl.
Yes.
Sure. Like I like
I I always wanted to be Jean, but I think I was more Rogue. Well, to backpedal, when we were playing Ninja Turtles, I was always April O'Neil with the boys. So like the
Ooh.
boys, yeah, group of like cubanazo little boys being like, okay, Paul, do what I said, and they're like, you will be April O'Neil, and like we're sorry. I'm like, I'm happy. So I would follow them going like this as if I had a camcorder. And with the X-Men, I was always Rogue because that was like the more acceptable one. If you had to be a girl, well, you were Rogue.
You
But
were the
instead,
strongest one, or one of the stronger ones.
one of the stronger ones, which like
Yeah.
bullshit, like playground, like politics, but whatever. Like so, but instead of like punching people and stuff, I would just touch their cheeks. I would go up to these boys and like squeeze their cheeks,
Absorbing
like,
your power.
absorb your powers, Wolverine, and then I would. That's how I kind of
Like you fainted.
Okay, so you were Jean or Rogue or Storm, and you had your little squad there, and you were getting all your friends into your fandoms.
Yeah. I think I also got them into Sailor Moon for a little bit as well. Like not necessarily my guy friends, but my girlfriends were kind of into it. Because it was anime, and anime was starting to get popular.
That was such a glorious era, and it wasn't even called anime; it was called Jap Animation.
Yeah,
I remember, and you had to call like stores in like San Francisco just to get bootleg copies.
Right, or like
Sailor
the
Moon.
internet, like you could buy, like someone had two VCRs, so they could record from one to the other, and you get like, the bootleg. I remember I bought a series, and I was watching it with my youngest brother, and we finished the last tape, and he's like, "Well, where's the other tape? Like, what happens?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That's all I could buy." And he was so upset. He's like, "You got me into this, and I don't even know how it ends." Like, and he was so upset.
Oh my! Wait, was it Sailor Moon or
no? It was I might mispronounce this, but I think it was like Kimaru Orange Road.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember.
It was a nice little story.
Sailor Moon, Ray Earth, QT Honey. I was obsessed. Vision,
Wedding Peach.
Wedding Peach, Rama and a Half. Oh my God. And Anime Rika, I believe was the name of a magazine too. And Smile magazine had the Sailor Moon super ass manga in it. Like I was obsessed. Oh my God. We would have been such great friends in the night. I wish I had you.
Oh, I know, me too.
I probably would have been a happier person growing up. But wait, so you're okay. Who, if you had to pick one X-Man, and we're talking about all the teams, Generation X, X-Men, X-Force, who is your favorite X-Man? And it can be mutant. It doesn't necessarily have to be like an X-Man proper. It could be like Selene or something like that.
I mean, Jean Grey is my like she's my number one bae.
Yes.
And then, on the guy side, it's always going to be Namor.
Oh,
he is a snack, and he's so like, oh my God, he's just so sexy and so confident, and like I just love that. I love a strong, confident, sassy guy. He's probably an Aries because I love Aries.
oh my God.
I'm drawn to that.
I love a good Aries too. I love Aries. Yes. Is your husband Aries?
He is, but just barely. So I call him an Aries with Taurus tendencies.
Oh, that's so cute. I love Aries. I love Leos. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm fucking crazy.
Oh, well, I'm a Gemini, so I'm also fucking crazy.
Well, I love that your husband has cosplayed as Shatterstar. You know my feels on his Shatterstar. I was showing my husband, your husband. I
You're
know,
like,
like,
look at this husband.
well, he was here like, oh my gosh, she with Louis Tan at a Comic Con, like where he dressed up. I'm like, no, that's her
Oh
husband who
my
looks
God.
identical to him in
We
that
met Louis
costume.
Tan in person.
I know you have the sign that Shatterstar. Girl, I stalk you. Girl, if I'm gonna be your GBF, I know your receipts. Like, I'm sorry. I know them.
Oh, like my husband looks so good as Shatterstar. It was ridiculous. And it was his idea to cosplay that too. And we were, I forget where we were, I think it was LA Comic Con, and we were walking by Rob Liefeld. Like his booth had like a super long line, like of people like wanting to meet him. And my husband was dressed as Shatterstar. And all I hear is, Shatterstar, come here. And then he gets to take a picture and meet Rob Liefeld. He like cuts the line and everything.
And meanwhile, you're in the back of the line as Dazzler.
Well, he told me, he's like, oh, you're a really good Dazzler.
Oh, you were able to go though. That's good.
I didn't take a picture or meet him. I just took pictures from afar.
Oh, I gotcha.
Meeting Rob.
Oh my God. Rob, I love his podcast. I think he has interesting views on the comic book industry, but then sometimes he has really awful opinions that you're just like, you don't need to comment on that. You know what I mean? Like, just shh. But
he has a lot of words he needs to get.
I know, and I'm like, shh, don't say that. It's a little problematic, Rob. Like, and but that being said, though, like he loves his fans and he's full of energy, and everyone who's met him has said nothing but great things. And he does Instagram lives. Have you ever seen one of his Instagram lives?
I think I did for like a few seconds. You know how sometimes you accidentally like click on a notification and you join it alive and you're all, I guess I'm here.
Sorry. He, like the last one he did, he's here like, so hey, I have a Shamrock Shake and these are so good and I got my vaccine. I'm totally fine. Huh? What's that? Someone saying I don't know how to draw feet? Oh, you know what? Fuck you, man. Wait, you know what? You know what? Better yet? Oh, okay. What's your name? Oh, there you are. Blocked. You're done. I have a Shamrock Shake. Like, I'm like, holy shit, this man is on fire.
I remember his Twitter rant that got him like banned or temporarily banned.
Oh, I know.
People took screenshots of it, and I was like, "Wow, he's getting real deep."
He gets real deep. Even like with the George, what he said recently that was problematic was the George Floyd, stuff, and just a trial playing on ABC. So you're like, I don't want to see this trial. I'm like, you don't need to tweet that. You do not need to tweet that. There are people who do want to see and think it's important, but. Anyways, Rob Liefeld, you're always welcome on this podcast, and just be your normal crazy self. Okay, wait. So, who is your least favorite X-Men? There's only one right answer.
I mean, I know who you want me to say.
Who I want you to say isn't who you're gonna say.
I feel like there's somebody that's just like a smidge, tiny bit worse.
Okay.
And that is Professor X.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, he's just like up in everyone's business. Like not practicing what he preaches.
Never.
And I feel like him and Beast sometimes are on the same page about a lot of things. And so he's also like the leader. And I think he should just set a better example. Like, if you're going to chastise somebody if you're going to chastise the other telepaths for entering people's minds and thoughts, then you should do it yourself.
Maybe you should have been illegally downloading mutant subconsciousness for like God knows how long and then forcing a resurrection upon them without their consent. I'm just saying.
Professor X in that skin tight suit with the helmet is also like really creepy. Like, I don't know. He's like dancing around like, I'm like, what is it? Like, who is this character? Is this can't be the professor? Like, no.
Well, some of the early theories with Hoxpox was that it was Moira in Xavier's head because of that very like creepy dance when he's like resurrecting people. And I don't know why people would assume that's Moira, because I would assume Xavier would dance before Moira, but sure. I guess he had a more feminine pose there, but whatever. Yeah. But I I I like what they're doing with the X-Men now, but yes, I think the idea is there's so much history with a character like Xavier that you're like, dude, you gotta practice what you preach. Stop being a fucking jerk.
Yeah.
Did he? I don't remember. Did he demote Jubilee to Generation X? No, I think Jubilee elected to leave.
I think after the Phalanx convent thing, she maybe realized she needed
Yeah.
like to hone her powers a little bit better. So I think it was kind of like almost a voluntary thing or like a mutual agreement. Like, yeah, let's send you to work with more people who are a little bit greener, you know.
Yeah.
You're almost there.
You're almost there, Jubilee.
You're almost there. You just need a few more credits to graduate.
Jubilee during the Phalanx Covenant is hysterical as fuck. But like, I remember thinking, and when we read it for book club, I may have said this, which was like, she is awful. Like, she's there, like, Emma's like worried, and Jubilee's like, what's wrong, Frosty? Are you afraid these kids are gonna die like your Hellions? I'm like, you're 14 years old. How could you talk like that to someone who's older?
I know. She was real sassy.
She was a sassy queen. And I think what I love about these first 10 issues is that we see a vulnerability with her,
Mhm.
especially, you know, in later issues. I'm sorry, cut you off.
I think she's really nice when it comes to Penance too.
Yeah.
She like has like a soft spot for her. And I think that's kind of funny because she doesn't hate, but she dislikes Em.
She just dislikes any fabulous, powerful telepath. I mean, I'm already seeing the common denominator with Emma and Em. So,
well, I wasn't a big fan of Em in the beginning too. I thought she was a little like cold and mean. You know, like she was like a mean girl. But later on, when her past is more
fleshed out,
yeah, I understand her a little bit better, and I think she is a good character. They're all like really good characters, except for I think Mondo. Like I didn't really.
I know it's still a question mark for me. Although I would party with Mondo like in a heartbeat.
He seems way chill.
My God, can you imagine? And I believe Cordelia Frost has a relationship with him.
Yes,
it's been a couple decades since I read those issues, but I believe he has ties with Cordelia.
Is it Mondo 1 or Mondo 2? Because I think there might have been 2 Mondos.
Yeah. So I think Mondo 2 is like the real Mondo, and this is like faux Mondo.
Yeah.
Faux Mondo. Something like that. It is such a like convoluted history, but
yeah, it is.
Who is your favorite X writer?
You know, I don't really have one.
That's fair.
There's nobody that I follow on a regular basis. I just kind of go with the series and whoever's writing it, as long as they're not fucking it up, I'm in.
Which is easy, you know, sadly easier to do. But is there a favorite story that you've liked, or a couple stories that you're just like, yes, that one?
I really enjoyed Age of Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
The first.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah, because everything else I was like, why are we back here?
Why? This was supposed to be like a reskin of the 616 reality, not like a different dimension altogether. But anyways.
That story was really good. I just thought it was crazy because there were characters who were once good, who are now bad, and bad who are now good. And then some that are in like this weird gray area.
Yeah.
And some that were just like drastically changed because of these events. I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, Wolverine and Jean are together, and I love that.
I think they're so hot together, especially in Age of Apocalypse, and even now in Krakoa. I'm a big fan of Scott and Emma, to be very clear.
Me too.
And like, apparently that's sacrilegious among Jean stans, but I'm like, no, keep Jean away from the Summers family.
Yeah, I agree. I like Cyclops and Emma, Jean, and Wolverine.
Yes, I love that.
And then they can just all kind of be together when they want to be, if they want to be. They want to.
Wait, hold up. So your favorite, one of your favorite stories is Age of Apocalypse. Obviously, we just got the Age of Apocalypse wave. Well, last summer we got the Age of Apocalypse wave, and we have a new Age of Apocalypse wave for the Marvel Legends coming up. What do you think of those figures, and who do you hope to see in an upcoming wave?
Well, I mean,
see, that's my Oprah question. That's my Oprah question.
Oh, I think we should definitely get a Rogue figure since she was very prominent in the series.
Agreed.
We already have Blink.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I wish they'd give us the real Age of Apocalypse Blink head.
Yeah.
Not the Exiles head. No shade. I think she looks great. Love the Exiles head, but I want a Blink head, like AOA Blink head.
Yes. Maybe we'll get one with that wave. Maybe someone will throw it in there.
Hang on. There is a rumor. There are the ISBNs. I call them ISBNs. They're not ISBNs. Like whatever like number they have were leaked with some of like the first letters. So I think people are theorizing Rogue, Iceman, Magneto. Hang on.
Okay. Those are all good.
Yeah. Legion, which I think would be phenomenal, and Kitty. Those are just some of the ones.
Ooh. I think we need a Storm in there, though.
I agree. I think we need a Storm. And a Nightcrawler. And I'm shocked they wouldn't do Nightcrawler given the mold. That they could use that again. Or maybe he'd come out like as a fan channel exclusive.
Yeah. That would be good.
I know.
I mean, I would really like this is like way out there. I know they would never do it, but I would love an Age of Apocalypse Dazzler.
I know. Oh my God. With her
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I was about to say her smoking her ciggy right there. Like, oh my God. I especially like Gambit and the Externals. I thought that was a great. I would love Dazzler, Quicksilver, Storm, Gambit, and Lila Cheney. I think those would be like ones that I would just like without apology love.
Oh my gosh. Can we
Hasbro, please, please. Ryan Ting, Dan.
I mean, while we're at it, can we get a Gen X wave?
Oh, girl. You are speaking hard truths there because I couldn't agree with you more, especially Emma in her Gen X like teacher outfit. Like,
yes,
a corset and a whip. Like, can you imagine?
What kind of school are these kids going?
Did you have the Generation X Toy Biz wave growing up?
I had Pennant and I had Jubilee.
Oh yeah.
I only collected girl figures for a really long time.
Yes. Same. I mean, I got them all. I mean, let me be clear. I got them all, but I only wanted the girl figures.
Yeah.
Like I literally like almost cut a bitch just to get Phoenix at Sears.
Wait, which one? The light up?
The light up one, like with her hair.
And that launched her.
Yeah, like the catapult man. Like,
That figure was nice. I remember when that came out. I was so excited.
I know. She was the only one I wanted. I eventually was able to get her at KB, not Sears. It did not work out at Sears. I literally even like made my dad get like an associate so they can look back. And
check the back, please.
Check the back, please, because I knew even then. But no, if you were hunting the girl figures, like another one that stands out is April O'Neil. Like you were trained to be like, no, you have some more in the back. Open up that case because she's one per case.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that.
I don't know why they didn't make more.
But it was a school of thought back then that the boys, that only boys would want to play with boy toys and girls would only want the girls. And so now, obviously, we have a wave with multiple female characters because that's not true. Because collecting and being a fan is sexless. It's genderless. You know what I mean? Like people want that character. It doesn't fucking matter. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I and whole other people had that idea already when we were growing up. But like, I'm glad corporate America has finally caught up.
Yes, same.
Okay. So, who is your favorite X artist?
Mine is like, it's a team.
Okay.
So, I really like the Dodsons, Terry and Rachel.
Yeah.
I think, oh my gosh, their art is just so, it looks like stained glass to me. Like it's just so perfect. Like it should be in a museum. It's,
I eat my words now because for the longest time I was like, I hate the Dotsons. They look like bloated Saturday morning cartoons. But then like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I was on the subway platform coming back from Bed Bath and Beyond because I had a coupon and I'm basic. And I was like, I'm really craving to see the Dotsons. And now I am so obsessed with the Dotsons. I can't stop like with the dots. So I'm there. That's fortuitous that you said that.
well, they're just so like, I don't know. I just love the way that they're drawn and inked and colored. It's just, I remember them on the Generation X run. That's where I got introduced to them. And then I'm so glad they came back to do the covers for the Generation X like reboot as well. I thought they were going to do the whole thing, but it was just the covers. And
Yeah, with Vampire Jubilee, I'm picturing that. Oh, it's
yeah.
funny. I never put it together that it was the Dodsons, excuse me, and that they were doing that direct homage. I did not read that series.
You did not miss.
Well, I think it's because all of us wanted. I know Kid Omega was on there, and I have nothing against Quentin Quire, and I think that's where they resolved Jubilee being a vampire, right? Like his portion of the Phoenix or something. But
Yeah.
I
like
just
all the teammate, like the original team, like wasn't all there.
yeah.
And the new team was great. Like they were very diverse. They had like the same kind of formula that the previous Generation X had, where people came from all different types of backgrounds. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. Like I wanted to see the OG cast. They made cameos, and I think the big baddie was M Plate, but you know, with the M, like everybody merged together. So they were kind of paying like this homage to the previous series, and it's just I don't think maybe it was executed like fully.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So we're gonna be discussing Generation X issues 1 through 10, and a lot happens here. So Michelle, I'm curious, what are your overall feels for the first 10 issues?
Wow. That's a very broad question. I felt like my feels were just all over the place.
Yeah.
There was, you know, everyone's kind of getting to know each other, first of all. So the team dynamic isn't quite there yet. Like they're all, I think, very hesitant to like start bonding. There was like a game of Scrabble between Paige and Skin.
Yeah.
A little hostile. I was like, or passive aggressive, you know, like they were just like going through the motions. And then like Paige is really rude, I think, to Jonah, who's outside. She's like, she says something really snarky to him. And I'm like, girl, that's your future boyfriend.
I know. And I love how she like spies on him.
Yeah, she's creeping. She's like, oh.
And Emma in her like loft sweater and like necklace is just like, darling, what are you doing? Like, girl, you know what that girl is doing. Like,
you know what's under that sweater.
You know.
You know, she just threw that on because she was traipsing through in like her bondage.
She was just like, yeah, I'm doing some press today. I may as well look a little decent for the outside. I really liked it. I remember I read in Wizard, someone had like given a review about it. And I was like in 5th grade or 6th grade. And I remember the person who had written into Wizard was like, you know, New Mutants is great. And there was a whole generation that grew up with New Mutants. But I can go with my friends and we'll start a campfire and we'll read Generation X and we will feel close to these characters because it's our age. And I think that's how I would encompass like my feelings for it. Even though much like you, I was like in 5th grade when Generation X was coming out. But it was close enough in my age range where they were just like the cool kids. You know what I mean? That you
Yeah.
wanted to be like, you're like,
They
they were
were
like
like the middle schoolers.
yes,
They're in
exactly
elementary
that.
school.
Yeah. And you just look up, they're only, in reality, they're probably only 2, 3 years older, but you're just like,
Mhm.
whoa, you know? And that's how I just sort of feel about it. And I had the first issue like you, the holographic cover, but you actually have it like framed, right? Or
Um, I
flattened.
have I have the original one that came out where it's like stapled and wrapped around. And then I just recently purchased the unfolded, unstapled, completely flat.
Oh, I love that so much. I wish we got more holographic covers. I get it from a publishing standpoint. As someone who used to work in publishing, it's expensive. I get it. But so how did you feel about the creative team, Chris Pachalo? I say Pachalo, Pachalo. I'm sure it's wrong.
You say it better than I.
What do you say?
I think I call it like Baco.
Yeah, I think it's
Still
Chris
kind of pronouncing
Pachalo.
things too.
No, same here. Don't worry. It's fine. I know that's like among fandom, so people, you guys can blow up our DMs with that.
Yeah.
Um, and Scott Lobdell. And Scott Lobdell is a can of worms, but divorcing what happened in real life in the years to come from like the actual art, like the art of, writing and creating comics. How do you feel about the series
I
creators?
I loved I loved what they created. I felt like I don't know, it just felt real. And there was like a little bit of darkness to it with the art. And I don't know, it felt very like magical. Like they were a very good team, I think.
I
How else are you gonna bring to life like somebody who has a ginormous like fiery thing in their chest and like make it look as glorious as it did on those pages? Like
yeah. Chris's art, and because I don't want to continue butchering his name, I'm going to call him Chris.
we'll just Chris.
My good friend Chris, who I did reach out to and was like, "Yo, you want to interview?" And like he's here, like, "No, I can't kick you right now. The deadlines are insane." I'm like, "Are they?" But are they? um, I think his art is so kinetic, Michelle. I love it. I love his Emma with the bob. I love Penance with her claws.
Yes.
I love the outfits. I just think, and like what we're talking about with Chamber, he looks so good. Like how the fire is just like zigzagging through the panel. I love it, and I love how he does Sync's powers as well.
Yes.
And here, and look at this king. Banshee with his
my gosh.
John Lennon glasses.
Look at that.
I just think like, I was talking to Cy Spurrier yesterday, and he talked about the importance of having to write for your artist when you're a comic book writer. You're writing for your artist as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel Lobdell and Chris were on the same page. And I think Lobdell was writing for Chris, and I think Chris was drawing for Lobdell.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I fully agree.
And it's just so like, look at that.
Yes.
Oh. It's just like the art is just drenched, on the page. I love it.
I love Jono in the rain. Like,
oh
God.
I know he's so
the rain can't make those fiery emo.
Girl, nothing can put out that fire. So the first 2 issues, a lot is thrown at us. We get like Penance, coming in. We get Emplate. And, I think we also see Paige using her powers for the first time. And the 2 instances that come to mind was one, that opening shot with her jogging and her looking really sweaty, and Jubilee sitting there with her bare claw feet.
Yeah, her little fuzzy slippers.
Which is like so emblematic of like 1994. That is, listeners, if you weren't alive in 1994, A, I'm sorry. Like, because I maintain 94 through 97 are great years, like in human history. But B, like she looked so funny, and Paige is like, "Oh, no worries," and like rips off her face.
Yeah.
And she's no longer sweating.
I wish I could do that. Like,
Oh, you're fabulous.
Like, I feel sweaty today. I'm just gonna exfoliate real quick.
Yeah, it's right here. Do you think she gets wrinkles?
No. I doubt it.
Well, also she's like 12, so not 12. I can say that she's like 12 because I'm in my mid to late 30s, but like the character is probably like 16. But like, I loved that look for Paige, and especially when she fights Penance, and she's like, I don't know really what her skin transforms into. I don't know what kind of textures they are.
She doesn't even know at this point.
Okay,
I think it's still random when she's just like, I'm just gonna rip it and go with it. Like,
I'm gonna rip and ask questions later. But yeah, so she, attacks Penance, and I love the look there. I love the entire battle sequence with all of them. I believe Jubilee is that Jubilee who's wearing a cowl? Yes, because it's raining.
I love Jubilee's haircut in that. Like,
oh my God.
Like, I don't know when she got that haircut, but it looks so good.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right, because she had the really short bob.
Yeah, it was the
Debbie Moore.
Yeah, it was a little shaggier, I think, or something. And then when I see her again, when she's trying to track Penance.
Like this too.
Oh yes,
That's Emma Frost. Emma Frost in her
loft sweater.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
I don't know when she got that new haircut, but it was very like sleek.
Yeah.
Like it had a little bit of an undercut.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Grace Park had in Battlestar Galactica season like 4 or 3 versus the Debbie Moore cut. Like,
yes,
it looks so good on Jubilee. So those first 2 issues, we had them there, kind of the team coming together. How do you think the Phalanx Covenant like influenced them and like the beginning of Generation X?
I think it gave them like a bonding moment almost. Like they all went through this really traumatic event where they almost got murdered, and they lost a friend.
Yes.
Too.
Blink.
So that like tragedy tends to bring people together, and so it wasn't just about them all being young and having these powers and trying to figure out what's going on with their bodies, but they're also trying to figure out, I think, where they go from here.
Yeah.
It's nice that they're all on this journey together.
Where do we go from here? Hey, Emma Frost is going to be your teacher now.
So kids, let me get my teaching whip out.
So kids, this is a corset. We're going to be corset training, darling. And she's looking at Paige with that. She's like, darling, I knew you were from a trailer park, but here's a corset. Do you think that Emma was the right person to lead this team?
Okay. So in the beginning, I didn't really know much about Emma, except that she was a baddie before this. I didn't know that she had a team before because I was a kid. I didn't read like the past stories. I couldn't find those back issues.
No, that's very fair. You did not know. Listeners,
I did not know her backstory.
Listeners, there was no Wikipedia.
Yeah. So I was like, are we sure we want a villainess running an academy? I was like, look at what she's wearing. Like, that's not kid appropriate.
I love that you, who are a kid, you're like, that is not appropriate for kids.
Yeah. I mean, I read a lot of non-kid appropriate things to know what was appropriate for my age and what wasn't. My mom was just happy I was reading. She's like, oh, she's reading. She's like,
I would love to be just a fly on the wall in the Waffle household growing up.
Oh my God, it was crazy. Crazy for sure.
It's you and 2 brothers?
I have 2 younger brothers and an older half sister.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun. Do you guys all kiki still?
We try. One of us is in a different time zone. My middle brother is in Europe.
Oh, wow.
So his evening is my morning.
You're like, no, we're not doing that.
And usually when he calls me, he's like, yeah, I'm like, I've had a bottle of wine. I'm like, oh, well, I've just had coffee. So.
You're like, it's 6 a.m. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Like, drink. I'm going to work. Oh,
But yeah, I mean, Emma was one of those characters that I don't know why a character like Rogue can be forgiven and brought into the X-Men, no questions asked. But Emma, who has proven herself to be a leader, to be servicing a much higher agenda between whatever the X-Men are doing, she will do what needs to be done for the greater good. She's not Captain America, where let's find a way. She's like, no, this is what needs to be done, and I'm gonna fucking do it, and no matter what the cost, but it's servicing the greater good.
yes.
I don't know why even till today, Emma is viewed at with that suspicious lens, even from I'm a diehard Emma fan. I still am like, oh, what is Emma up to?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's always like a hidden agenda.
Yes, that's why we love
I
our
feel
queen.
like there's always something else there. But is it good? Is it bad? Is it like in the gray area?
Shrug.
We'll find out when we get there.
But you know, speaking about the gray area, I do want to ask about Age of Apocalypse, but the issue before Age of Apocalypse for Generation X, which would become Generation X, they have the Christmas issue where, you know, again, Emma and Paige are spying on on Juno, but Banshee takes the rest of the kids and they, you know, they're driving through town and there's a child named Elliot who's presumed to be a mutant who's holding his teacher hostage. And this is where we get Nanny and Orphan Maker coming in. And, you know, the entire situation unravels and it ends with Elliot, you know, having his teacher have a heart attack and sort of being, I can't remember if he dies, but you know, the moral is that like, hey, he looked different, but he actually isn't a mutant and he was being ostracized. And I just felt like that was such a like turning point for me as a reader with this series. I was like, they're going to tackle like really big, heavy issues.
Mhm.
And then, of course, at the end, Jubilee is there reading, like she breaks the fourth wall. She's reading something like, oh, blah, 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 Mcron crystal, blah, 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 universe. And then like the ice just comes in and like the crystal ice, excuse me, comes in and boom, we go into Generation X.
When I was reading that as a kid, I didn't realize that was happening. I was just like, where's the comic book I've been reading like the past 4 months? Like, did it get canceled? I got invested. I had no idea it became Generation X, even though it totally explains that in like the back panel part, if I had just bothered to read it.
I agree with you. It threw a lot of people off. It did throw me off too. And, you know, as I've mentioned before, when I was on Generations of X, a podcast, Flinkman and I did interview Scott Lobdell, and he talked about that process for Age of Apocalypse because they were initially apprehensive because they're going to pause the books that are doing so well and they just launched Generation X. Yeah. And 4 issues in, you're going to cancel that fucking title and replace it with this alt world. Again, in today's world, you're like, who the fuck cares? But back then, that was unheard of.
That was a big deal.
Absolutely unheard of. I want to ask a question about Banshee, though.
Okay.
Did we think Banshee was a good choice to lead the team as well?
As my 4th grade self, I was not completely aware of who Banshee was. And he seemed like a stand-up guy to me. I felt, as I read more, I'm like, okay, well, he's dressed more appropriately. He's got some experience being an X-Men. Like, yeah, he's going to balance out this Emma Frost chick real good. Like, and then I was rooting for them to get together the whole time. I don't know what kind of like weird chemistry they had. It's like, will they or won't they? Like, are they into each other? Are they not? Is she like teasing him? Is he teasing her? Like, are they going to hook up or what? Like, please just make it happen already.
Just make it. When I was rereading for our talk today, I seem to remember the issue where Emma goes into Banshee's mind and we're doing a tour of his his past, which, by the way, like Banshee, like shady, talk about characters with like sordid past. But Emma looks at Banshee, and as a kid, I remember that scene where she's here, like, he can't go until I have a chance to dot dot dot. And I always read it as her saying something that was like, before I have a chance to say that I love you. And I did not get that this time around as a reader. I actually thought the relationship was a little bit more earnest. And I was talking to Jeremy Ratchford, who played Banshee in the Generation X movie. And he, when I was like, oh, Emma and Banshees, you're like, no, that's not how the relationship would have been. Like, maybe they would date other people and neither one of them would approve, and maybe there was something going on there, but it was more of a like a Mulder and Scully situation, that they were always like, they had a rapport. It was a very special relationship, but it wasn't romantic.
Didn't Mulder and Scully eventually?
I know.
You have this rapport with somebody for so long that it's like, well, we have good chemistry as friends. Maybe we could take it to the next level and see.
Yes.
I mean, I remember very specifically, I don't know what issue it was, but Banshee goes knocking on Emma's door and she greets him in like a sheet or something.
Oh, yeah.
Reams him for disturbing her slumber. And then as she dismisses him, she throws the sheet away and he gets a peek at something.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
look at that. And even here though, like, I mean, to now play devil's advocate to what I said, when they find Banshee like stuffed in the refrigerator, and Emma's like the first one's like, no, she's the one who like has a really great reaction to it, and she goes into his mind and she really wants to save him. And again, that's where she, when I was a kid, because I thought that there was an implication of something larger in their romance, because she strokes his hair telepathically in that memory, and it's cute.
Yeah, so I think they definitely care about each other for sure, because they've grown and gone on this journey of being mentors for these young kids together. So, like, I mean, there could be.
There could be. What about Jubilee? How do we feel Jubilee has grown? And we kind of touched upon this before. How do we feel she's grown from the X-Men to Generation X? Besides her new fabulous hairdo.
I think, well, she's probably the one that's got the most like battle experience out of all the kids. But I like that she's not like really taking like leadership of the team.
She's the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, she's just like, they're saying like, well, in my experience, like we did this, but whatever you guys want to do, I think she mentions like the X-Men a lot, and somebody calls her out for it. I can't remember who it is.
Yes. I'm forgetting who called her out on it. Yeah. But yeah, they call her out on it. And she even says like, wow, when I was with the X-Men, I was being taken care of. Now I have to take care of Penny, Penance, because she loves giving like nicknames to everyone. And I do love her growth. And I love what you just said right now. I'm glad she would have been the obvious person to have as a team leader, but I don't think organically Jubilee is a leader. I think she's a streetwise hero who can do her own missions and is more than capable of doing a mission. But I think leading, you have a Guthrie on the team. Guthrie goes there. And I'm glad that they had her more in that Wolverine role, which is, she is a spiritual successor to Wolverine. And Gene Nation obviously appears in there as well.
Yes.
Like, that was fucking like baller. And like they kidnap Emma, and like Emma's just like, oh, la la la, and like the kids are fucking in New York, and M goes catatonic. Which, do you know what the original plan for M was?
I don't. I only know what they
eventually showed.
Yeah.
Yeah, M was supposed to be, the two twins, kind of using her as
Okay.
as like a vessel. But I love that we got G Nation because I thought Marrow was a fucking badass character. Like I love Marrow.
I remember her from I think she was in the animated series.
Was she? I don't
Maybe I
remember.
don't I remember I knew her from somewhere else. And when she
Yeah.
made her appearance, I was like, oh,
There
okay.
she is.
Yeah.
Oh, you know where no, this is where you probably knew her from. Marvel versus Capcom as well.
Oh,
Oh,
I
wait,
think
that could have been before or after. I don't remember. She was big. Meryl had her moment. I don't think she was in the animated series. So, what did you, what do you think about Generation X being byproduct of a certain time and place? I think we've kind of already like said this, but like I feel like Generation X could have only come in the 90s.
I would have to agree. Just because when they tried to resurrect it, it didn't have like the same feel.
I wish they would just like have a reunion with the team. Like it's not out of like think about friends you had at an old job. You're gonna be on a group text with them and you're gonna be like, let's all get beers together. Why can't they
Yeah.
just do something like that? It does not need to be a mini series. It just needs to be a little bit of a
Like
reunion.
a one shot.
Yeah.
Do like a little one shot.
A little one shot with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
How about the movie?
So I just rewatched this movie last night.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. My husband had never seen it.
And
He's
he
like,
was here like, why did you do this to me?
yeah, he's like, I heard it's really bad. I'm like, it's really not that bad. But this was like, this is elementary school me staying up late to watch this movie. And we're watching it together. And I'm just like, oh, you know what? I remember this a lot differently.